Well, hello everyone. Welcome to YouTube. It's the Geek Out Loud, and I was on the 100th episode of Rule the Galaxy podcast with some great guys, and had such a great time. I thought, let's keep it going over here with Geek Out Loud. Here we go. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Geek Out Loud. I'm Steve Glosson. Glad to be along with you here. The quality right now is bad. The lighting is weird, and so I need to. I've got a light that I should have shining on me that totally blinds me, so that you can't see. But I thought this would be fun. I don't know. Maybe it won't be fun. I thought it'd be fun to kind of do what I'm calling the Hall. Real original, I know, and I'll probably change the title up. But I've made this statement several times on podcasts recently that I've been on, whether it be Geek Out Loud doing the what if stuff with Lethargic Chewy and Adam Bray, or even on places I've guessed it. In fact, like I said, I was just on the 100th episode of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. Check those guys out. Great Star Wars show. And I've said, I think I've got ADHD when it comes to my hobbies, because I've been bouncing from one thing to another, and I just get super into it and super hyper focused on it, and think I'm going to do all these great things, and then it just kind of, fizzles into the next thing. And so I'm still rocking the Marvel Legends, still enjoying collecting those, and but I'm not been taking the pictures and stuff like I had been doing, and I want to get back into trying to do that. But then I've stumbled my way back into comics, which has kind of been fun, kind of been surprising. I've been a little bit disappointed to see, kind of the mentality that's kind of crept in, just like it has any hobby, when it's all about the money and stuff. But yeah, I'm having a good time going to the comics, just having a good time collecting. And so over the past, I don't know, few weeks, months, I've been able to get a hold of some of my old long boxes full of stuff, and kind of starting to dig through some of that stuff and kind of see what's out there. And I've perused eBay and Facebook Marketplace some, and and what's really been fun is to find some of the like antique malls and that sort of thing, where there'll be like a little booth that has kind of a long box or a short box or two with some comics in it. And we found one antique mall near us, kind of near us, that has just a great selection. They've got a whole little comic store over really in one area, and they've got some good prices on comics. And you kind of have to dig, but you can find some stuff that's in pretty good shape, and it's for a pretty good price, and so it's worth taking home with you. We are live right now at YouTube, at the Geek Out Loud YouTube, having a good time, and no one's joined us yet. And hopefully we've put this up on the social media for people to see and check out, and maybe some folks will stop by and join by. Really, this is just me, because my wife is busy right now, taking the time to just hang out and do some YouTubing. And if anyone happens to happen along, welcome. Get in the chat, let us know. There's old Scott D. Hope you're well. I am well, Scott D. Hope you're well. Look at there. I put you up on the screen. It's awesome. You're right there. So, whoa, there you go. One quarter of the Crowder boys. Matthew Crowder. Good to see and hear you, my friend. I'm excited to see you, buddy. I've been going through some of these old episodes of the Big Honkin' Show, and it's been really fun to hear from you and from Steve, and just so many of the classic Zoo Crew members. So yeah, great to have you guys in on the YouTube Zoo Crew tonight. Just walking through. Look, this is just the hall. I'm just finding there's some magical things I happen to have found, and I'm going to kind of be sharing them with everyone tonight. Looking at some things and just trying to see what's going on. Classic. Shut up, Kristen. There it is. Kristen getting on to me because Rock Out Loud. So what am I? Okay. Look, I just told Kristen today I was trying to make some special artwork for Rock Out Loud, and I guess I should have done that after I got off of guesting with those other guys and said to do this. But I was just having fun, and I had the setup over here, and I thought, well, I'll show off some comics real quick and do that. And then the easy thing about YouTube is if I do it live like this, it's there, um, for better or for worse. But we do have Rock Out Loud coming up. We talked High and Dry, great album by Def Leppard. Check it out over at the Rock Out Loud podcast, and so good times, good fun. So let's get into it here. Let's get into the haul, because I have, this is going to bore some of you to tears. Some of you, it may bring back some fun memories. Some of you, you may be like, what am I even hanging out here for? um but I thought this would be a fun time to kind of look at some of the stuff I've picked up, because some stuff is kind of reclaiming days gone by. Some stuff is like filling in holes and filling in gaps. And as I said, some of this stuff is just you know, just fun finds. What does Scott D say? Would you pick up a Morris? I would pick up a Morris. I'm not. You know what? I need to do a Shang. Everyone's saying Shang-Chi, and I guess that's how it was said in the thing. But all my life, I've looked at that comic and I've said Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi. But look, that's something that needs to happen. I wonder. I know. I know Lucas has seen it. I've seen it. Adam, I think, has seen it, because surely Adam saw it while he's doing some signings there in Michigan. We've got What If coming up tomorrow night on Chewy's Cantina, Geek Out Loud, the What If show, and we're uh, Lucas is bringing in a DC character into the fold when he does his whole superhero relook. But anyhow, my point is this: we'll probably end up talking Shang-Chi at some point, and I'm just going to continue to call him Shang-Chi. So, but anyhow, here is let's get into the hall a little bit. Let me transition over to the old good camera here. Um, the glare is there, and I can't really do much about the glare there. Maybe that's a little bit better. This is Fantastic Four 315. This is smack dab. This story is smack dab in the middle of a story arc that took place from around Fantastic Four 312 to about 319, and rolled over into an awesome fight in in three in 320 with the Hulk and the Thing. In fact, this Hulk here, Mr. Gray Hulk, and this version of the Thing, which is big spiky thing. This whole thing. It starts in Subterranean. It starts with the Mole Man, and they end up like traveling to an alternate dimension. It is Marvel at its finest. So now I need to see if I can actually get stuff in and out without causing all kinds of catastrophe here. In fact, here is the next issue, issue 316, and I'm going to have to pull those out together. This is That Which Is Forbidden. That Which Is Forbidden, by the way, is a word, the Beyonder. Um, Beyonder, of course, is the perpetrator of the Secret Wars back in the day. The Marvel superhero crossover. Those like big limited series, 12-issue limited series, the Secret Wars. It's where we got Black Suit Spider-Man. Anyhow, basically all of the characters were taking this battle world by this powerful individual called the Beyonder. Well, then in Secret Wars 2, not as good as Secret Wars, Beyonder comes to Earth. And so in this particular deal, now they're down in Antarctica, and they've uncovered this machinery that's keeping the savage land where Kazar lives warm, and there's one giant word on it. It's the Beyonder. And so, it's like, oh my gosh, what are we talking about? And that leads us into the extra dimensional stuff. Glare there, is this a Care Bear? I forgot. It's the Glare there stare. Um, a random question: as I collected comics as a kid, I never knew this. What was the point of the black and white character head in the corner? Oh, color in yourself. No, 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 no. The in the corner there, you'll see either there's two different versions a lot of times of these comics. Um, there's the ones with the character in the corner like that, or there's the UPC symbol. UPC symbol would have been like your newsstand copy. And when they went to more direct markets, comic stores, hobby shops, that sort of thing, maybe even some bookstores and stuff, they would do this. Was this denoted that it came off the direct market? So rather than doing, it's interesting. So you actually, when you look it up, sometimes direct market books are a little more valuable than the newsstand, and then sometimes the newsstand is a little more valuable in the direct market. It just depends. I never thought about those looking like they're colored in, because a lot of times when the Spidey I remember off of these off of these books like this was usually blackface Spider-Man. So blackface Spider-Man, unfortunate turn of words there. The black suited Spider-Man, so you couldn't really color him in. McFarlane would do some really neat things with a little box down there where he would draw maybe in webs the issue number or a character kind of thing down in the bottom. So back to the haul here. These both came from the Cobb Antique Mall, where there's a great comic shop there. And like I say, there's some boxes that you really have to kind of dig through to find some stuff in good shape. Um, it seems to be like, but and they're not really in a great order. I would love to spend hours there just organizing kind of the they're not even junk boxes, but just kind of the not so organized boxes of comics for the guy. But I haven't really talked to him, and I don't know him enough to ask him if I can do that. So, but I would spend just to sort comics and look through comics. Yes, thank you, please. I'll do that. So all right, so let's try to uh, reach in here. There's going to be some banging around. Hold on just a second here. Ugh. Take those out. I've just realized I don't have anywhere to set these down. Having to move a lot of stuff around. You're probably about to hear a crash because I can't do anything silently. We'll set those up there if that works. Put these over there. And here we go. Oh, now this is one I'm actually really excited about to kind of have in my collection. Of course, it's got a tear there. I didn't notice that the other day at the comic shop. That's unfortunate. Huh. Well, all right. Means I got to keep looking. This is Hulk number 367. The Hulk was gray at this point. A lot of people know of the gray Hulk, but he was turning back and forth. There was a period of time where he wasn't turning back and forth in Bruce Banner from being the gray Hulk, but this was where he was. And the Hulk had been poisoned. And so you'll see that underneath the Incredible Hulk title there, it says countdown 432, and this is one. This is the final issue of this countdown series where the poison has finally gotten to him. This looks like a Walter Simonson cover. I don't see his name on there though. He fought in throughout this run Abomination, Miss Marvel, who was in the form of a thing at this point, and the leader, and then it ends with Madman, who basically had orchestrated the whole thing, and and so this is the end. Like he's going to die now. I'm really disappointed about that rip. I can't believe I didn't notice that, or I want to pick this up the other day. Here's one that's kind of fun, and that I've got to rebag and reboard. This is the Fantastic Four issue number 349. As you can see, there's several characters on here with the Fantastic Four. You've got not only do you have uh, the Fantastic Four proper, but you have Wolverine and Hulk and Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. And it appears that there is a couple of scrolls back there, and this is all a 3 issue little story arc where Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and the Hulk all filled in for the Fantastic Four because the Fantastic Four had gone missing. And if you notice down the corner, you see the Punisher logo there. It says featuring the world's most explosive cameo. Basically, they were still doing a few throwback things here with Marvel Comics during the 90s. And anytime you could throw Punisher into a book or Wolverine into a book, Ghost Rider was another big one. You were making bank. People were going to pick that stuff up. So they intentionally, almost tongue in cheek, through the Punisher in there. This is Hulk 363. I'm going to have to. These things are going to fall in a minute, I'm sure. Bad glare there. not glare bear, glare there. So let me if I shift this around. No, no, nope. All right. Well, that means I got to see if I can set up a little more. See if that helps a little bit. A little bit. This is Hulk number 363. He's fighting the gargoyle. This was during the Acts of Vengeance storyline. The Acts of Vengeance storyline was the whole deal where the villains traded off their normal nemesis. So, in other words, you know, Grey Gargoyle was normally, I think, an Iron Man villain, and so instead he shows up. Glare's a little bit better there, like that. Shows up to fight the Hulk, and he's actually been hired by a whole conglomerate of villains. You know, the big heavy hitters like a Doctor Doom, Kingpin was in there, Magneto, I believe, all kinds of stuff. What does Kristen have to say here? This has to be a perfect example of your collectors. Yes, this is. This is exactly um, the perfect example of my collector's obsession. I just get into this stuff and absolutely, and then it'll fade. Like I hope it does. And I've enjoyed going back through comics and stuff. It's been a good time. So, um, but yeah. So this is a big this is all stuff I picked up at the antique mall the other day. Let me see now if I can do this real quick because I'm still seem to be getting picked up pretty well on mic there. Move that out of the way. Set those up there. Really disappointed about that tear on that one thing. More Hulk stuff. As you can tell, I like to collect the old Incredible Hulk there. This is Hulk number 371. It says The Dark Hulk. Now, this is actually a book that I've never read. Um, this happened right around the same time as the Hulk, well, the Green Hulk returning. The Hulk had been gray, and and then at one point, suddenly, here comes, and I say suddenly because literally suddenly here comes the Green Hulk. The Green Hulk just showed up almost out of nowhere. And after that happened, you're expecting to read more and more and more about the Green Hulk being back, but they did a quick little offbeat tale, um, reuniting the original Defenders, minus the Silver Surfer, Doctor Strange, Namor, and the Hulk there. So, and we were marching honestly toward this. This is Hulk number 400. Um, we didn't know we were marching toward this, but the leader had been dead and he rose again. And the girl there in the spiky things, that's Marlowe. That's Rick Jones's. Rick Jones, that's his wife. And she had died. But the leader had this whole cult where he was like bringing people back to life and stuff. And it was really weird. It was kind of strange what was going on. So the Hulk, of course, has to put a stop to it because you can't trust the leader. Though he was trying to act like he was a good guy, you can't trust the leader. It's just a fun comic to have. It's that classic 90s foil cover stuff, where it's like all decorative and pretty, and they were doing all kinds of gimmicks like that back in the day with comics in the 90s. Um, Hulk's still your favorite? Yeah, he really is, Scott. I'm a big Hulk fan, but I've also been rekindling some love for the old Fantastic Four, um, who really truly are some of my favorites from way back in the day collecting. So, what if number one? Now, this isn't what if from the '70s. Number one, this is the relaunch of What If in the late '80s, and this is what if the Avengers lost the Evolutionary War. And it's interesting that they would do this story because this wasn't long after the Evolutionary War took place. What's the Evolutionary War? Well, that character there that you see on the screen there, that's the High Evolutionary. And there was an annual crossover. In the annuals, there was a crossover called the Evolutionary War. And I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you. I don't know what it was about. I remember covers from that annual. I remember the way it ended was all in an Avengers annual with kind of like second tier or almost retired Avengers having to be called up to fight the day. I don't remember what the High Evolutionaries' whole whole goal was at that point, but I do remember it happened. And in the Evolutionary War, in an amazing Spider-Man annual, this guy was introduced, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is Speedball, the masked Marvel. This guy is fun because he was a teenage superhero. He would later join the New Warriors in the '90s, and and it was some good stuff. He was bouncing all over the place. That was his whole gimmick, is he could bounce. He kinetic energy stored up and everything. But he was introduced in the page of Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21, I believe. Um, hey, Guild Wars girl, good to have you along with us. Honest 3000. I try to be honest 3000. So yeah, this is one I picked up just for my buddy Lucas. Lucas has a bit of an A-Team collection, and I saw this and I could not leave it. This is A-Team number 3. The TV's blockbuster adventure is now a Marvel comic, A-Team. And you can see BA is passed out in the BA is passed out in the I'm sorry for moving the camera around. He's passed out in the parachute there because, of course, if you remember the A-Team, you had to knock BA out to get him to fly. So these are the things I picked up the other day at the Cobb Antique Mall and over outside of over in Ackworth, in the Ackworth area. Maybe not Ackworth. Maybe I don't know where it's at. It's not quite Ackworth, but it's there. It's a great little store. This is something I discovered while going through some old long boxes and stuff that I forgot I had. And this just look, if this doesn't scream, oh my goodness, I've got to get a better setup than what I've got right now. If this doesn't scream, geek out loud, big honkin' show, I don't know what it is. This is Marvel 2-in-1. And this is The Thing confronts the power of the Sasquatch. So The Thing and the Sasquatch. Sasquatch is a Canadian superhero with Alpha Flight. Um, you'll often find him fighting Wendigo. He is not to be confused with Bigfoot. That's just what he calls himself. But I mean, look, is there anything more geek out loud than this? I mean, serious business. Shut up, Kristen has it right. Kristen has it just right. That's a Steve comic. One of my favorite characters and what would appear to be one of my favorite mythological beasts. Now, here is a blast from the 90s past. And this guy here, Quasar, the Cosmic Avenger, now in his own book. This is Quasar number 1. Quasar was a third, fourth, really fourth tier character in the Marvel universe. And in the 90s, he got his own book. And I love this thing. Like I bought it because it was going to be number 1. It's like I'm getting in on the ground floor of comics. Yes. And so this dude, this is, and look, I followed him probably for the next year or so. And it wasn't, honestly, it was not the best book in the world. They kept saying we're building up this cosmic event, this cosmic event. And there was some stuff, like they took some leaps, man. There was some stuff that happened, but I always have fond memories of this character. And I know that like he's got the whole headband thing rocking and everything. I mean, looking total 90s. So, you know, that's just, that's Quasar, but his look would change in the next comic, or really maybe at the end of this one, he would change his look to be a little more 90s modern. Going back into things I found in my short boxes, this is the 30th anniversary of the Amazing Spider-Man number 1, Spider-Man number 375. It's the final confrontation between Spider-Man and Venom. If you believe that, you're the person that they want buying comics. I don't know if it's showing up well, but you can, the cover is so reflective, like it's got this gold foil thing going on around. I know there's a glare, so it doesn't really help because the glare is so bad. If I pull the light back, does that help a little bit? Yeah. Whoop. Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, there's this web thing going on in this cover that's kind of a foil cover that's happening. But they say this is the final, and I don't know, maybe it was, but I don't think so. I think that Spidey and Venom have had to face off since then, but they've also really kind of watered down the Venom character in the comics. But that's not what this show is about right now. Another find in my old boxes, Amazing Spider-Man 378. This is part of the Maximum Carnage story arc. This is Carnage has basically just unleashed himself, and Carnage is what makes Carnage so terrifying is the fact that he is a psychopathic serial killer with the power of a symbiote. It's just a cool cover. Venom and Carnage fighting. That's one of those covers like I want to recreate with some Marvel Legends stuff. Like that's one of the things I like to do with the Marvel Legends is find a comic cover I like and try to recreate it. And this is one of those things I would love to do. Of course, I had to have this one back in the day, Amazing Spider-Man 381. The Hulk shows up And I don't remember. Like it's been so long since I've read this, I don't remember exactly what happened. But here it says they're teaming up. This is 382. This is the next issue, and that is what we call Professor Hulk, ladies and gentlemen. Is what that character is. That he is supposed to be a combination of all the personalities of the Hulk in one. Bruce Banner, the Gray Hulk, and the Green Hulk. You know, all the strength and all the brains together as with the personalities rejoined. And so he had a bit of an attitude, a bit. It wasn't like Bruce Banner had control of the Hulk's body. It's like he became a whole new persona when that happened. But anyhow, so that obviously back in the day, I would have bought that because it was indeed the Hulk. So what else we got here? Now these, I think what I've got coming here are actually from a find. No, this is still kind of digging through some of my older stuff here. So let's see here. I'll plow through this real quick. This is more Maximum Carnage. This is adjectiveless Spider-Man. This is just Spider-Man. You can see Venom blasting Carnage with a sonic blaster is what that is. And here is that follow-up issue. This was running across all the Spider-Man titles. At the time, you had Amazing Spider-Man, which was the OG Spider-Man title, Spectacular Spider-Man, um, Web of Spider-Man, and this was adjectiveless Spider-Man. So love the random comics. When I was a kid in the 80s, this is Scott D said, I picked up copies of Marvel Micronauts, yeah, at a tag sale, probably from the 70s. Yep. The Micronauts are they're classic, man. That is some good stuff. And there are people to this day who love the Micronauts. I almost picked up a Micronauts comic the other day just for the fun of it. This is Web of Spider-Man 101. This was the third title, Spider-Man title that was launched after Amazing Spider-Man and Spectacular Spider-Man. This is more Carnage, and you can see he's got Spidey in a bad way as well as J. Jonah Jameson. In the 90s, there was a line of comics called 2099 that came out. This is, whoa, oh man, this is Doom 2099. Now, look, this is the comic that taught me, and I had been a collector of Fantastic Four. I'd a reader, an avid reader of the Fantastic Four since I started buying comics as a kid. But this is the comic that absolutely caused me to respect Doom. Somehow, Doctor Doom from the present shows up in 2099. Now, at the time, that was 110 years or 100, 109, 100, over 100 years into the future because this was late 80s, early 90s. Now, of course, it's just what, 70, 70, 77, 77, 78, yep, yep, 70, yep, 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 70 plus years down the road from now. But Doom is transported to 2099 and he shows up to take out, like he's going to go face down like whoever is in charge basically. And the world is run by corporations and that sort of thing. Well, he shows up and he gets absolutely obliterated. He gets the snot beat out of him. And so he goes off to lick his wounds and he meets someone who tries to help him. Of course Doom does not need help, but they get him to a lab and he masters the technology of that era, and builds himself new armor and basically goes back and kicks butt. Like that's what kind of the first story arc's about. It's pretty amazing. So Doom 2099 really taught me like, okay, so Doom really is a force to be reckoned with. I don't know if this is eBay. Let me see. I think this is some eBay stuff here. I found an eBayer that had really good prices on comics and he would combine shipping. And so this is Hulk 227. This is, I don't know what's going on here with the murder of Bruce Banner, but it's got the original Avengers involved. So that would be, you can see them there: Iron Man, Giant Man, and the Wasp, and Thor. And then Hulk is there. Hulk's an original Avenger. And so they've obviously stepped in to try to stop him from doing whatever craziness he's doing. And then here is the original series of what ifs. This is what if number 2 from way back in the day. What if the Hulk had the brain of Bruce Banner? And I think that's interesting because in the comics, eventually Bruce would take over the Hulk, not the Professor Hulk deal. Bruce Banner would literally assert his mind into the Hulk's body so that he could turn to the Hulk back and forth at will and still be in full control. He eventually lost that control and the Hulk went berserk. But for a while there, that's exactly so. This is just a neat kind of what if story, and there's several what if stories that kind of really portend what went on in comics later on in the future. So those were two eBay buys. Now then, this was one of those things that just never happened to anybody, but we know a guy here in town that runs like a little consignment shop kind of. It's not even a pawn shop kind of thing. It's just I'm knocking stuff off the desk, all kinds of crazy stuff is happening. But got uh he bought a bunch of comics from some people that most of them were in terrible shape. It wasn't the best stuff in the world. And but there were a few things that were actually in pretty good condition. And so I got a pretty good price on these. The first one I picked up, and this was just for fun. This is Comet Man. This was a limited series. I say limited series. I don't think it was meant to be a limited series, but it didn't sell well, and it only went for 6 issues. Um, I picked this up honestly for my cousin, who used to love like just weird stuff like this from the comic days, like that's not your proper superhero stuff. Um, so that's what we saw this in Endgame, right? I'm sorry, Dave, I missed which one. Oh, the brains of the Hulk. Yeah, I like that cover. Yeah, I'm not sure who the art is there, Dave Jones. To be honest, I can't make out that signature there in the right above where it says Pulse Pounding Final Issue. But now we're getting into it. Here is the Amazing Spider-Man 260. This is him fighting the Hobgoblin. This is in the middle of trying to discover who the Hobgoblin was. Now this is issue 306 of Amazing Spider-Man. This is Todd McFarlane. This is Todd McFarlane was already kind of a well-respected artist at this point, but he blew up on his Amazing Spider-Man run. And this cover is Scott Comic Man is different from Meteor Man. Indeed, he is. Indeed, he is. Um, this is obviously an homage to Action Comics #1, and so that and really more than anything, that's what this is about. It's about the cover doesn't necessarily tell what's going on in the book as much as it just tells, hey, this is an homage to that. This is awesome. This is one of my favorite covers from the era. This is Amazing Spider-Man 312. It's during an event called Inferno, and and this is the Green Goblin. Now this is Harry Osborn as the Green Goblin fighting the Hobgoblin, and at this point the Hobgoblin had become basically he had sold his soul to have more power, and so he basically became like this monster of an individual. um did Hobgoblin later on in issue 342. We're going to jump ahead 30 issues. This is the powerless Spider-Man. We went through Acts of Vengeance and Spidey was cosmic, but he went through a few issues where he had no powers at all. um and he had gotten in front of some ray or something, and it took his powers, and he had to kind of keep that secret for the longest time, but he almost died several times because of that. But of course everything turned out okay. This is Spider-Man issue number 344. The reason this was a good find and it's in really good shape, and the reason it's a good find is because it is the first appearance of Cletus Cassidy. That's who would become Carnage. So just a really, really cool find to find like this. And this is one I just grabbed because I like the fact that he had the new Warriors, two of the new Warriors here, Nova and Night Thrasher. These guys were part of a team called the New Warriors in the 90s. They were a teenage group of kids that had decided to fight crime. And then we've seen this guy already. I grabbed him because I wasn't sure if I actually had this one or not, but I did. Spider-Man 378. Really excited to grab this one. Back in the 70s and 80s, Marvel did some stuff like they really capitalized on their good characters. So you had Marvel 2-in-1, which I showed you that thing in the Sasquatch. Well, this is Marvel Team Up, and whereas Marvel 2-in-1 featured the thing, Marvel Team Up featured Spider-Man, and he would always be teaming up with someone else from the Marvel universe. And in this instance, it was She-Hulk. So again, it's a book that happened to be in really good shape, and so I was happy to pick it up. And this is What If number 45. Again, this is from volume 1 of What If that ran in the 70s and early 80s. Issue 45 here. Um, the cover is so unique. It's not like what you'd see from most comic covers. It's not real cartoony. It's not real. It's not. It's just. It's its own thing. And it's what if the Hulk went berserk? Well, hey Roger, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Um, what you've got here is a situation where you think the Hulk always goes berserk. But this is what if he absolutely just lost control, and what would the ramifications of that be? And then finally, this was the to me, this is one of those things that never happened. There's a little bit of staining on the cover that I need to see if I can clean off as I've learned about cleaning comics and stuff. But this is Web of Spider-Man number 1. Web of Spider-Man was the third, as I said, third series of Spider books that were written. Amazing Spider-Man being the first, then Spectacular Spider-Man came along, and then Web of Spider-Man. Web of Spider-Man focused more on was supposed to focus more like on the personal life of Spidey and that sort of thing. And this is issue number 1. It is outside of, and I don't, you can't even see it necessarily on camera because of the lighting and everything, but right here there's like a bit of a stain. But outside of that, this book is in fantastic shape. And I was really excited. This is just such a I love the art on this cover because it's almost a painted pastel kind of feel. And I wish I knew who did the art. The signer, they signed it right there. I'm going to pull back and see if I can discover C Vess. So I don't know who that is. C Vess. That's not a name I'm familiar with in comics, but I love the kind of the pastel-y looking look. It's got a really thick line there to outline, to be Spider-Man. Usually the lines are a little thin, a little cleaner, but it helps them really stand out in the rest of this. Sketchy look, the the lettering up there is fantastic. Just the haziness around. Of course, it's the black suit Spider-Man, which is always fun, always a good, uh, cool cover. So it is a great looking cover. Both you guys, beautiful cover, great looking cover, great shot of Black Spider. Looks like a Batman pose. He really does, and that's the thing. Spider Man in his black suit kind of took on a bit of a darker edge, especially when it was a symbiote. But then, later on, he was kind of associated, and it was also a time when they were trying to shake up the characters a little bit. Spider Man, the black suit worked, but it also didn't work at the same time, and now it's thought on of fondly, but in the moment, no, we want the regular suit. But this would lead to Gray Hulk. This would lead to the thing, Gray Hulk coming back. Basically, this would lead to the Thing being mutated again. This would lead to some different costume changes. Black suit Spider-Man kind of led the way on that as Marvel was trying to try some things out, but always willing to go back to the status quo. So um good times with this is so that's the haul, guys. That's my haul lately of comics, and I thought it'd just be fun to kind of um I'm not showing off. I just wanted to share it with you guys. Like honestly, when I think of doing some of this stuff, like my mind immediately goes to, man, this would be great for the podcast. This would be great for um this would be great for the show. This would be a great thing to do on YouTube. Just thinking about content. Oh, there's one more thing here I want to show you guys. Cover's a little dirty. I'm going to have to maybe see if I can work to clean it up a little bit, but I scored a really good price on these. Of course, I already had them, but because they were such good prices, I got two of these. This is Incredible Hulk number 377, and this is where the Hulks, all the personalities combined, Gray Hulk, Green Hulk, and Bruce Banner. It wasn't just, like I said, it wasn't just that Banner took over the body of the Hulk. It wasn't just that, he took over he was his mind in the Hulk's body. It was that these were multiple personalities who were merged together into one. And it all happens in his mind. This whole book takes place in the mind of Bruce Banner. And he's dealing with things like childhood trauma, abuse, things that caused his personality to split off. He's dealing with stuff that went on with he and Betty. He's dealing with all this stuff that went on with his mom. And ultimately, there in his mind, at the grave of his mother, Green Hulk, Gray Hulk, and Bruce are all there, and Bruce is just broken at the grave of his mother, and the Green Hulk and the Gray Hulk say we've got to all come together, because the issue before this, Gray Hulk and Green Hulk are in Bruce's mind fighting, and Bruce literally is gray arm, green arm. He's choking himself out. He's Bruce, but he's also and really good work. I think it was Dale Keown doing the art at this time. Fantastic work, fun story, and so the last page is him coming out of the room to where Betty is, and he says, "Honey, I'm home," and he's just got this grin on his face. And like I said, they would take 2 issues and do kind of a side story before they came back to what had actually happened here, and that covers a very was a pretty well known cover in the '90s, and it's just kind of like his face just looking kind of up at the camera with a smile on it, like you have no idea what's about to happen. So yeah, good stuff, fun times. Peter David was writing the Hulk back then. He wrote until '98, and this was still 1990. So yeah, so he still had 8 more years to go on his run. 7 or 8 more years, I think 8 more years. So love the Star Wars. Well, thank you, Guild War Girls. This is all this isn't all of my vintage collection deal, but it's all the wall space I had. So I got to figure out where I'm going to put the other stuff I've got. I also have the Hasbro released kind of the retro looking cards um, with the figures on the cards that are kind of retro. Let me pull this up here and I'll show you. Oh, here, I'll put it over here in front of the Hulk. Um, uh, well, I try to hold it up to the camera and I can show you. There was a Spider-Man figure on this. Let me got to move some things around to grab him. Oh, oh, Maestro got a hold of him. Hold on, he's all tangled up something else. This Spidey came on there. He's 5 points of articulation, um, and the whole thing is they do these, and they even have like a Kenner logo there at the bottom, as you can see, and they do these figures as if they were Kenner released in the '80s. 5 points of articulation with them, vintage style looking artwork on the card. It's really good, really cool line that they're doing with Hasbro. I don't know. They've done 2 or 3 waves. I don't know how well they've sold, so I don't know if Hasbro is going to continue it. I kind of hope they do, because it'd be fun to see what they can get out of it. So, well, look, hey, thanks for hanging out. Those of you who hung out with us live, I need to start doing this kind of stuff more on a regular basis, I guess, to help the channel out. Again, sorry for the weird, look right here, all this glowy, glowy. This is from the lighting in the box. This is from the lighting on the ceiling, and there's no lighting here, so I look all fuzzy and weird and washed out in some instances. So this camera's not quite doing the trick. But hey, hopefully you'll put up with it until we can work out something better as we continue to try to make this channel something. Don't forget to tune in with us on Thursday as we talk What If with Lucas and Adam. You can email the show. Let me see. Do I have any banners to pull up? I thought oh, you know what? I did not. Thanks to our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/geek out loud. I've got to get a ticker that'll roll everyone's name across. That's what I got to do. What does this say? Thanks for stopping by. This is the official video channel, the official podcast at geekoutonline.com. I'm Steve Glosson, the official host of the official blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then, of course, you can email the show, geekoutonline@gmail.com, geekoutonline@gmail.com. We really do appreciate you guys. And it's good to see you all. And thanks for hanging out with us. And hopefully we'll do this more often. I don't know how often there'll be a haul to kind of show off. And if we do, it won't be one that has been stacked up over the past few weeks. It'll be just 2 or 3 things really quickly to kind of show. I'll tell you what to definitely do when we're live on Thursday. I don't know if we do that through the I don't know if we're live on YouTube or if Lucas has to put that up later. We're live in the cantina, I know. I'm going to see. We're going to talk about trying to maybe get live on YouTube as well. But what you may want to do is tune in, because even if it's up later, I I've got I'm gonna show off a super extended Stiltman Marvel Legends. Adam Bray sent me 2 extra legs for Stiltman, and so I'm gonna double up those legs, man. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. And I'm sure we'll talk Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, however you want to say it. And turn on the pay feature for YouTube. I don't have enough subscribers, Guild War Girls. Um, but maybe one of these days, who knows? I don't want to, I'm doing this to have fun right now. Brought the kids to drive in to see Shang-Chi, maybe the weirdest toys I ever ordered for my kids, but I ordered one of the Morris and the faceless chick. Yes, that's fun. I didn't know they made like a stuffed version of that. I'd get my wife one if I knew that, if I'd have known that. But the thing about the Shang-Chi, look, I don't want to get off track, but the thing about the Shang-Chi toys or the Shang-Chi toys is that because of all the delays, everything was released already. And so there are people who are complaining about, well, it's already on clearance. Well, that's because it was out before you knew what it was. But now that you know what it was, you think it should be there. But the problem is they had a toy release schedule, and because of all of the different, you know, pandemic stuff and everything, they what you gonna do? Like you can't just you can't just stop toys from going out on the shelves, basically. So um that's what happened with Dune too. Dave Jones, you need to go to up to Ackworth and you need to go to Mad Max Toys. They've got a whole bunch um, of classic Dune figures, classic ones, not the new stuff. So, well, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us, and we hope to see you around the Golaverse. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you.